Hey everybody, Lisa McClendon here, and welcome back to the other side of the spotlight in Conversations with Lisa McClendon. Listen, today I am excited because my girls are here, Mola Clark and Lolita Rowe. Listen, these ladies are like my sisters. Before you even knew who Lisa McClendon was, I was Lisa McClendon to them on the stage as 3 in 1. Yes, y'all, I was a part of a girl group and they got all the dirt on Lisa McClendon. So let's get started. All right, let's go again. Hey everybody, welcome to the other side of the spotlight, Conversations with Lisa McClendon. And today I have my girls with me. I thought this was going to be very special. My sisters, my friends, Lolita Rowe and Mola Love.
Clark. I'm a Clark girl.
Clark girl now. She's a Clark girl now. And I was sharing with them earlier that it's, to me, it was important. First of all, they are a highlight, a very important part of my new documentary, The Other Side of the Spotlight, a Lisa McClendon story. And their part in my story and our stories together is so important. And it really helps make the documentary what it is. But before we jumped on today, I was thinking, what's the best way for me to describe them and what they mean to me? And what came to me was they were the first place. I don't think y'all even know this. They were the first place that I learned sisterhood outside of my own sister growing up in my immediate family. As a young adult, these are the first women that I learned how to be friends with as a young woman, not as a kid. So thank y'all. And thank you so much for being here, Mola.
Adding value.
Listen today. So let's jump in because listen, the other side of the spotlight for this is that we have been through so much just trying to get here. Good Lord. We don't even got time. So let's start here. What was your first impression? Okay, let me preface this by Lolita. You tried me at the fit. I was like, I know she didn't try to come for me. So tread lightly.
Okay.
Your first impression of me when you met me. Let's go Mola first, because that's
I ain't gonna use me to be the nice one. Now I'm the nice one, huh?
It's not just nice, you're being honest. Unfortunately, yes. Lolita's honesty is brutal.
Yes, that's why we love her. Because she ain't gonna lie. You're gonna get exactly what she means.
I think it was a little bit exaggerated, but we'll get to her next. Okay, Lolita. Mola, go first.
I got you, Lo. I got you. My first impression of you. Well, of course, I met you at Frontline Outreach. They were doing outside thing. I don't know, some kind of celebration. And I was a teen parent associate there. And I was working in the front office when I met you. But the first thing I noticed was, and I said this to myself, and you've heard me say it all the time. I said that she can sing. Like, I like her. She can sing. And she was this like bubbly person that just talked about her father God. And I was like, okay, she's my age. How does she know him like that? And I was like, gosh, like most of the people I knew that talked about God like that was older people, but everything was Father God gonna take care of it, girl. God, Father God, or whatever, Papa God, I don't know what it was what you called him. But I was so intrigued because at that moment I was going through something really tough. And I was not, it was almost like I was just looking for an answer. And when I saw you, I was drawn to you just because you were so passionate about who you were at that time. You were confident. And I'm like, here I am around the same age and I'm lost, you know? So that's one of the things that drew me to you. That's how we started talking. And you had the most exuberant attitude. You were smiling the whole time we were out there, and I don't know, that's what it was. Here we go.
Lolita, describe what your impression of me when you first met me.
Um, okay, so my first impression. Okay, so the disclosure. So we we all are PK kids, right? PKs. And I was at the stage when I first met Lisa, I was in what you call my rebellious stage. I was in my,
I remember that.
I'm gonna live my life how I want to live it. I don't want nobody telling me what to do. Don't be coming at me with the Bible. I already know the Bible. I know Jesus, whatever, right?
I was preachy.
So when I first met her, she was on stage and she was singing. She had on these like big, pants or whatever. I think you had on like this like Kango or painter's like a big hat or something like that, if I'm not, with glasses on. So I was like, when I looked at it, I was like, this girl country. I was like, she I was like, this
Oh
girl
my
is country. Did her phone die
I
again?
was expressive.
Oh. I'm from down south, from Miami, down south, and so um I was like, oh, she can sing, okay, and then when we first met, had our first dialogue, she was walking. Lisa used to walk around with a Bible, like literally walk around with a
Did I?
Bible.
For real?
Yes.
Lola
You
did?
yes, you walked around with a
You
Bible.
were evangelist
You
for
were
real.
very holy. You were very holy
Mhm.
and sanctified,
It
and
was
so
an easy.
In a hip hop way. It was a hip hop way though. It
Oh,
wasn't
the hip
church
hop,
way. It was hip hop.
hip hop sanctified.
yeah,
Yes, it
yeah.
was different.
And
Dang.
so it was the conversations that we would have at the beginning. It would, she would be preaching and everything. When you would talk and say something, she would always have a scripture. She would always throw
I'm sorry,
throw
y'all.
us.
I'm
That's
so
so
sorry, y'all.
you know
No, that's what won us though.
but you know what, I thank God. I thank God for all of you. But I thank God because I was at that stage in my life where I was like so rebellious.
Mhm.
You you kept me in line, even though like I kind of rebelled against you. It was like I still couldn't do what I really wanted to do,
Mhm.
or act like I really wanted to act.
Mhm.
So I thank God for placing you in my life at that time, because I think if it had been anybody else um that was around me in that very vulnerable time, because I was wide open, I probably would have been, child, ain't no telling where I would have been. I would have been out there.
So the group that we were in is called 3-in-1. How do we come up with that name 3-in-1?
It was
Wasn't
three
it
of us.
three of us
It
and
was three
one?
of us and one
Three of
in
us and
God.
one.
Mhm.
Right.
Eventually, it was 4-in-1, but that's another story. But before we go there, what was the biggest? What would you say was the greatest part about being in our group 3-in-1? Because that's where we all kind of got our start.
I think the best part about 3-in-1 is we all had big personalities,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And we were female, but even with the different personalities and us being female, we got
We
along.
got along so
And
well.
that's
It
and
was
that's
perfect.
rare. That's rare when you
Perfect.
put
We
women in a mhm.
And we all come from seriously different
different
backgrounds.
backgrounds, and we did like when I heard Mola say that in the documentary.
It was a very colorful, fun, youthful group. We knew who we were. No one tried to make anybody else like them. And we worked together to try to keep, the peace between us.
I don't know the words.
Looking for love, just what you know. In all the wrong places. Ooh yeah. Going place to place, from face to face, looking for love. Oh, looking for love.
I was sitting there like trying to think in my mind an argument, like a real serious argument. I'm like,
we never had one.
We really got along very well.
Yeah, I mean, we had our little sister fights, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like. Yeah.
Mola was the peacemaker.
Oh my, Lisa.
I was the one that killed everybody in line.
Do you remember remember I told y'all I was the one that was the rebellious one.
Yeah.
So I call myself gonna be dating multiple guys, right?
Oh.
Which time? I was glad that is not
this one. I won't do name calling. I'll just tell about the incident. So do you remember DMP, right? And so you didn't like it because you thought I was doing P wrong. So you told one day when you were coming home from work and he was picking up Ray and brought Ray home, and you was telling him like, I don't like the way she treats you, and Lolita did that.
Who said that? Me?
Yeah, you were talking to him. God. And so just so happened I was in the bathroom, and because I was already looking for him to bring Ray home, and
I was so wrong.
You and Mola was coming. You and Mola was coming together. I think Mola picked you up or whatever. Because remember, we didn't have vehicles. We didn't have a car. Mm-hmm. And so when I came downstairs, and I remember it was, I'm walking around the corner and I'm just like, fussing and carrying on like, that's none of your business to be telling. So Mola's like, come on, guys. No.
But we were roommates then? We were roommates then,
We were
right?
roommates.
I think I kind of remember that.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry, Lolita.
Mola was trying to get the piece, and Ray was still in the car at the time. He was, because we hadn't let him out the car, but Patrick was like standing outside. But anyway, he was
about him.
That's who.
I was thinking about the other people.
Me too. No, I thought it was other people.
No, it was the one that worked with us.
The guy from the island.
Yes.
Oh my God, really I forgot about him. I forgot about him. Lolita and I were roommates. I also lived for a short period of time with Mola and her family. And so the other side of the spotlight for me, y'all not putting me down because I'm so much better now. But would you say I was just not a good roommate?
No, it wasn't that you. Okay, so it wasn't that you were not a good roommate.
Every month she had to ask me about my rent. Every month.
I think you had management problems.
Oh my God, yes, I had financial.
I think that was the main thing. And for me, management is like my top tier thing that I learned from my dad. Like I learned how to budget, pay bill, and so I think, yeah. And then, I was, because I had Ray, I was getting assistance and stuff like that as well too. So, we didn't have to worry about food or anything like that but no, it wasn't that you weren't a good. It was just that you just did not manage your money well, which caused you to always have to be late on your rent.
Didn't know that. I didn't know y'all.
Which means I was not the best roommate. That was a nice way of saying. I remember that well. She always had to ask me about my rent. My rent was always late. I was always buying stuff. I had no management. So then eventually I moved in with Mola and her family.
And you stayed with that lady. You didn't live with me. Yes, I did. You was just always at my house.
No, because Robert told you I had to get out.
When you lived there?
Because I got there and I got comfortable, Lolita. And Mola
she was still at my house even when she was out.
And he said
we was inseparable.
he said, Mola, if we let her stay, she's gonna be comfortable. And he was right. He's like, she's never gonna learn. She's never gonna grow. And you keep trying to protect her. Mola was real protective of me, and he wasn't doing it maliciously. He was just like, she's gotten comfortable, and I did. I was safe, and I was staying in Milan's old room. And
you must have spent the night.
No, I had been there for about a month.
Oh man, I would have been in bliss, girl. We were inseparable.
Robert said, "Get out."
He couldn't separate us. We was inseparable.
But Lolita, she was like,
no. I would have left.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it took me a long time to learn financial management. That was not really something that was taught to me growing up. What my mother taught me was hustle. But I don't think she had the time or the capacity to stop and teach me how to manage what I work for. I know how to work. My mother was and to this day, she's a great example of someone who knows how to work and make the money. But I never sat down and saw her manage the money. I just always saw her going and working. So when it was my turn to be on my own, I didn't know how to do that. And so it was very important to me to teach my kids who are now adults the importance of managing their money. And I see a little bit of the old me in one of them. But I definitely learned a lot living with Lolita, and I learned a lot just seeing Mola as a young wife. What would you say was the hardest part of being in 3-in-1 group we were
in? Which one? I can say the hardest part about it was when it started going south.
And he would watch me in the creepiest way. And so when we all exchanged information, the girls started sharing stuff about the other guy and their encounters and the inappropriate behavior that they had experienced. And then we had to have a meeting about it with them and their families, and it didn't go good. I gotta stop talking about it right now. That's crazy that I gotta stop talking about that right now.
I wasn't a part of that meeting, but I do know that there was, something really going on, because we were young girls taken advantage of musically, taken advantage of sexually. We were being punished for something that grown men were in charge of, and it was their fault. But we're the ones that were to blame.
So I think that for me, that was the hardest, because I'm like, how did I get something so beautiful and then the same thing from what I come in here too? So I kind of felt like I was drawing it. I didn't know y'all was going through the same thing, but I felt like it's just following me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how? This is a whole nother area. And then I get
same thing.
Right. It was just very confusing, and I was afraid because I didn't want to mess up what we had done it, because when it was happening, we were pretty known then. We were real full-fledged in it.
I need people to know that 3-in-1 was, honey, we were doing our thing.
We had people going.
Listen, I need people to know that we were doing we had started doing. I remember we started going to Georgia. We had gotten over the Florida line, and we were making money. We didn't see the money, but we were making the money. And it's interesting because, and I'm not gonna cry on this podcast,
you're not,
even though I cried in the documentary. When you say it felt like things followed you, like being the sexual advances, which I'm going to assume was what you meant, and then to come off the streets, and now you're in a Christian group, and now I'm still being sexually advanced by grown men.
I thought it was me.
Huh?
I thought it was me.
And so I was when you just said that, I was thinking about, and then Lolita, I want you to tell us if you have something like you feel like, what would that be for you? So for me, it feels like, after hearing you, Mola, All my life, I've had people try to take advantage of me. And it's not necessarily for me sexual, but just people would try to take advantage of me and then make me feel like I was the one wrong when I would speak up. So for instance, in 3-in-1, living with this couple, and the man who was one of the people that was our manager on the management team, you were clear. Oh, that was so creepy. But anyway, he was clearly. Thank God I got out of there when I did, because ain't no telling what would have happened if I would have stayed any longer. And I think, if I recall correctly, the way I left,
You told me.
after that meeting. After that meeting, I was no longer welcome in their home. I remember I was asked to leave. So fast forward, now I'm in Jacksonville, and I'm attending. I'm gonna just be honest, because of this other side of the spotlight, I'm attending a ministry, and when the minister can't control me, he treats me bad. He calls me a mutt. He talks behind my back to my background singers, trying to bring friction. He doesn't know, unless he's watching this podcast now, that it got back to me. Trying to, unless he was connected to my success, he would try to sabotage it, if you will. Then I come into the industry, and then I have managers that were trying to sabotage my career if they couldn't be in control. It's like all my life. And then prior to 3-in-1, I was sexually, abused, and trying to be manipulated and controlled by someone older. And for some time, I just felt like, oh my God, like, why does it I keep facing this? And one thing I can definitely say, all of those situations led to one day me learning how to find my own resilience. Like, there's just something about me now that I know how to trust myself without feeling the need to make you comfortable. And I think that's what I needed. You know what I'm saying? I felt like there was something for us to learn. Doesn't make it right what they were doing, but it was an opportunity for us to learn our own strength, to stand up for ourselves, and to trust who God has made us, if that makes sense. Lolita, what does that?
Yeah, and I think so. I was, because when I looked at the question that you were asking, and I thought about it, and what came to me was, it's when we say, why does it seem like it's always, no matter where I go, I'm getting, just a different person, but the same situation, and it's a spirit of familiarity. It's a So say, for instance, I can speak for me. So my dad, if y'all know how my dad was a narcissist. He was controlling, so all my life, here it is, this spirit, how my dad was, manipulative, controlling, and didn't know how to show me love. My dad, the first time I saw my dad cry was at my wedding. The first time my dad said that he loved me or he was proud of me, I was grown and had kids. So here it is now in 3-in-1. I'm faced with that same spirit, controlling, some, just different body, but still trying to control my life, being manipulative, and those narcissistic behaviors. And not just, with 3-in-1, but like you say, when you went to another church, the pastor there was, so it's the same thing. It's just that spirit that is connected, that tried to follow us everywhere we went, and everyone that we tried to come into connection with. And it wasn't until, for me, my deliverance and being delivered from my past, to where I got older and wiser, to where I could recognize the head of that spirit from a mile away.
I know what you
mean. And chop it off at the head, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Walk away without explanation. That's what I do now. Don't owe you nothing, because you already know what you're doing. So I don't have to explain my absence. That was my power coming back. being able to just walk away, even when I noticed it, even if it didn't show uh prominently, it was very subtle. If I felt the feeling, if I discerned it, I just disappeared from you without having to explain myself
And not second
and leave it
guessing
there.
yourself.
And leave it there.
And not second guessing yourself, because that was the
Yes.
thing. And I'm sure we all could agree, when we were younger, and like Lolita, like you were saying, and we're not as wise, we're much wiser now. And not just because of age, because we chose to do the things that would cause us to be wiser. My son would often say, "Mom, just because somebody's older in age don't mean they're wise." I'm like, boy, that you saying something. But yes, so now that we're wiser and we know better, when I see that thing, that spirit, like you were saying, Lolita, I don't even doubt myself. I already know what time it is. And I'm saying to myself, I know what that is. I've seen this before. And I trust that God has given me discernment, that I know what I'm dealing with, and then I know what to do, what I'm dealing with. Like Mola, you were saying, I'm out. I'm done. I'm done. It's not even a conversation.
I don't even say bye.
But what? Bye is
I thought I
nice.
was
I don't need
rude.
to be nice.
I just, because you're already knowing what you're doing. I'm just thanking God that I didn't become a bitter person.
Yes.
With throughout all of that.
Because I did go through that mainly because I didn't understand. Because that continued even well into my late 40s. But even just like, God, how is it that people who have done me wrong, not little stuff, I'm talking about big stuff, how is it that I'm watching them succeed? Like, what the hell is this? Like, how are they excelling? And these jokers have clearly tried to destroy not just my life, but my children's life and people that I love, and they're still exceeding. And I had to learn that character has absolutely nothing to do with success. A person can have horrible, questionable characteristics, toxic, all the things. But if they're a hustler and they got the connections and they're getting the job done, they can.
And they're talented.
And
but that doesn't mean that we value like success based off of what we see a person, what they have, right? Where they are in life. And one thing my mom would always say, first thing, you don't know what that person had to do to get what they got. And you don't know what they're having to do to keep what they got. And just because you see them in that area don't mean that they're happy. I sleep well at night. I sleep well at night.
Yes. If you've already seen the documentary, are like, wow, I didn't know you went through that. People who've seen the documentary have reached out to me and like, oh my God, I had no idea you were going through all of that. So talk about the other side of the spotlight, what people didn't know about what you were doing and what was happening to you off stage.
After 3-in-1, I toured with Steve Harvey for 3.5 years. And from there, from Steve Harvey, that's my connection with a lot of other artists and labels as well. Arista Records. Oh my God, Tyler Perry, and it's so many people, so many different people, just the industry. And what I experienced behind the scene, sex sales, right? So I was always confronted about losing more weight, right? And with that, I'll never forget that. See, my mom is a praying woman, and people used to always confront me, even still to this day. But now I'm old enough to understand why doors would close. I never understood. So my side of the spotlight was more so in the secular world, right after 3-in-1,
right?
Not so much of gospel. So it seemed like out of all the people and out of all the stages that I've stood on and sung, people would ask me, why aren't you like the way you sound, the way you sing, and the people that you've, worked with, why aren't you like famous, or why aren't you successful? And I couldn't answer that question back then. It would be like a door would open. I remember, meeting with Arista Records, Jermaine Dupri. I remember, meeting with them, and it would just seem like Tyler Perry. I don't know. It would just be like something would happen, and it would just no phone call. Like I would have that meeting, and yes, this is what we're gonna do, and then it would just be like nothing. I remember having a conversation with Steve Harvey. He pulled me to the side, and he was looking at me, and he was like, and he said to me, he said, "You have an amazing voice." He said, like none other, just a powerhouse. He said, I can tell that you haven't been through a lot yet. I know because I know music is what he's saying. But he said, no matter what, he said, don't stop singing. He said, keep singing no matter what. He said, as you live life, you'll start to understand what I mean by what he was telling me. I understood what he was saying. I can literally say now I understand why people would look at me in the industry, because they couldn't touch me spiritually because of my mother's prayers. And that's what kept me protected. And now that I know, people don't really know what really go on in the music industry. The music industry is very demonic. I don't care what, it's very demonic. And a lot go on that people don't really understand, not just in the secular world, but also in the gospel world.
Yes.
And so it was my mother's prayers that protected me, but now that, I'm older, a little wiser, and I can understand and see things and understand better, now I'm back, I'm still in the industry. I travel and go, overseas and everything like that. Every year in the month of December with a gospel group, we take 2 groups and do that. And I'm also the praise and worship leader at my church at Majestic Life. And then I also do other things with like different bands and stuff like that for corporate and stuff.
Before I got to 3-in-1, I was in a professional girl group with Jazz A. Rose O'Neal was my manager, and that's when I left because I had that abortion. And that's when I met you. That's why I say I was in my darkness moments at that moment. That's what made me get out the group, because I couldn't do it anymore. But I was already, that was my first experience with professional. We were the counter group with Jazz A. Jazz A was the male group, and we were the female group. So I was already in the industry at the time. And of course, I was very naive with a lot of things. But when it came to when I got pregnant, that was the first thing that they did. She was the one that paid for it because we were getting ready to go on tour. And it was another girl in the group too that she was offering to get an abortion with. She left and kept her baby. I didn't. I ended up doing it. And afterwards, it was not the same for me because I knew I was wrong, But it was a lot of control, a lot of you feeling bad. Like, they were big people. They were important people. You're this little young girl and you're meeting Escape. You're like we were around the time when Escape was coming out. So we were like the competitiveness. Oh. I remember meeting them and everything. And, I'm like, okay, this is like a big opportunity for me. And I ended up becoming, when I ended up being with 3-in-1, I had already experienced a lot of hurt in the music industry. So 3-in-1 was like a different thing for me. That's why I said it was so awkward to see that what happened come in, because it was a whole nother new world. It was beautiful. It was God. It was, it saved my life. Because even when 3-in-1 split up, I went back to that world. I went back to the secular music. I started touring with 69 Boys, and I would not allow anyone to put me under contract. That was my thing I took out of it. I did not sign with anyone. I was an independent person, and you paid me up front for whatever I did. I did get some album. I'm on the album, some of the albums that they have, but I never allowed anybody to put me under contract anymore.
I was sharing
Mhm.
the first episode of the other side of the spotlight with Lisa McClendon, of a conversation with Lisa McClendon, was that what people didn't know is that um, while I was still touring, I remember my touring just dropped after I went through my last crazy divorce. I wasn't I was hardly traveling, right? And when you are touring like that, it's hard to keep a 9 to 5 because at any moment you gotta be on the road or whatever. But if you're not on the road continuously, it's not enough to sustain just taking care of yourself. So I remember coming home one day and there was an eviction notice on my door. And I called.
Mhm.
This is why Lisa McClendon is traveling and touring, and was at this time spot dates, but it wasn't enough. And I remember calling my aunt and I said, asking her if she could help me because I was going to lose my place because it was a eviction notice from the sheriff's office. And she said, "Well, sweetie, I don't have it, but here is a place that you can get money. They don't do a credit check. They don't. Do y'all know that was Amscot? And for 2 years, I lived off of Amscot. I would borrow $500 because that was the max I could borrow. I would borrow $500, and every 2 weeks, I would have to pay it back. Wait 24 hours because you have to wait 24 hours before you borrow again, and then borrow that $500. And every time I borrowed $500, it was a $54 fee. I did that for 2 years trying to survive. And I remember my son
Mhm.
saying to me one day, he was much younger. He said to me, he said, "Mom," he said, "Why I don't know why you left Mr. So, my ex-husband, not his dad, but my ex-husband. Why you left Mr. So and so and so?" I said, "Why would you say that?" He said, "Because now we struggling." And, and it crushed me because he was a kid. He didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like this
Yeah.
was almost was trying to little he was trying to drive me crazy. And all my son and his little innocence can see that, man, we didn't struggle like this, but that he didn't realize it's kind of like what you were saying, Lolita, earlier. You were saying, yeah, but you don't know what people are going through. So yeah,
Mhm.
my son is seeing we got a house over a roof over our head. He's seeing there's food always in the house, but he doesn't realize that at night when they're asleep, I'm in the bedroom fighting. I have a man who has
Mhm.
me cornered into a back. He's backed me into a corner and blocked the bedroom door, antagonizing me, trying to break me, and I'm trying to fight to get out of the room. And I'm throwing lamps to try to get to that door to escape.
Oh
My
my.
son doesn't see that. My son didn't see this man over me, pinning me down, this big guy, twice my size, pinning me down on the bed, holding me down. I forgot why. Something was going on when I learned about the other women. That's what it was. And he pinning me down, held me down so bad that I had bruises on my arms for weeks and having to wear shirts that cover my arms because I didn't want my kids to see it. So he doesn't know that. He just sees the house and the food. But like you said, Lolita, yeah, you see this, but you have no idea. You know what I mean? So yes, yes, yes. The other side of the spotlight, people can
Mhm.
be behind the mic and on stage and in music videos and on red carpet and touring, and it's still things that we have to deal with when we get off stage, when we're going home. All right, let's end with the rapid fire. Who out of 3 and 1, who was the most dramatic member in our group?
Lolita.
You think so? Most likely to get lost.
Mola.
Mola. Most likely to cry. Most,
Mola.
Me. Me. I
most
was
likely
empathetic.
to start laughing at the wrong moment.
Me.
Lolita.
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 I don't like
No,
sitting next to her in
no
church,
freaking
y'all.
leader. Most likely to talk their way out of trouble.
Me.
Lisa and Lolita.
Lolita,
Both of y'all.
Yeah.
Both of y'all.
not
Because
me.
y'all would not. I
Not
saw,
me.
yeah, you were able to get
All right.
yourself
Yeah.
a
Most likely to be late.
Mola.
Mola.
me. I
Every
told you I knew
time.
all the answers.
Three.
Shut up.
Every time.
We
I
literally
said,
lied to Mola about the time of rehearsal and shows. Like we would say an hour out. And she would still
be late.
it was
Well,
still
who was
be
first
late.
on the line today? Who was first on the line today? Hey, I
But
grew.
you grew up. She grew up. She was the
Wait a
first
minute.
on line.
I was the
Wait
first
a minute.
one.
Wait a minute. Was it you or was it your husband that got you there?
That's me, girl. He sleep. I had this ready.
And the final question I would ask you, ladies, is so the name of the documentary is The Other Side of the Spotlight, Lisa McClendon's story. Thank y'all so much for being a part of that. Like you all bringing your stories, bringing the story, bringing your part of the story together just made it what it was. What would you want people to take away from the documentary? Because ultimately, it wasn't just my story; it was y'all's story too. What would you want them to take away from our story in the other side of the spotlight?
Don't ever give anyone control of your destiny.
Have community around you before making big decisions. That's what I would say. Have people who really genuinely care about you before stepping out to things that that are bigger than you.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And when we were coming up, we didn't have social media, so we weren't able to be discovered on social media. But so many people are being discovered right now, and they're signing these deals without community. They're signing these deals without taking control and making their own decisions. So I want to just say to anyone who's watched this podcast on today, just if you have a dream, remember your community. Remember to listen to yourself. Trust yourself. Always the people that knew you win. Always
Yeah.
let people that know you win. Let them get a part of that mix. Don't be so quick to sign anything because we live in a very cruel world. And like I shared earlier,
Mm-hmm.
people are succeeding even in their cruelty. And the reality is, you can make it without having a crazy contract. The world is so different now. But the main thing I want you all to take away, if you are trying to reach a goal, something that came to me today, even as I was driving, is patience. When you put in the work, sometimes people can capitalize off of your impatience. And so
Mm-hmm.
never allow anyone to come in and just take what you've been working on, your purpose is because you're impatient. Be okay to be okay to sleep on the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Take the decision to somebody else. The Bible says that there's safety in the multitude of counsel. Let somebody else check it out as well. And again, trust yourself. Trust the voice that God has given you. And thank you all so much for joining. And we'll see you next time here on the other side of the spotlight conversations with Lisa.